Ladies and gentlemen, it is my great honor and a privilege to be introducing someone who really needs no introduction in the U.S. and at this point around the world. Mr. Steven Melnick is a personal and professional success guide, best-selling author in multiple categories, highly sought-after national and international speaker, a radio show host who also happens to be a tenured professor in the largest business school in the country, an attorney, CPA, and many, many, many other things. Ladies and gentlemen, let's all stand up. Ladies and gentlemen, let's all stand up. Let's give a round of applause to Mr. Steven Melnick.
Welcome everyone. I'm super excited to be here. Are you all excited? Yeah! All right. Can I do this again? I love the energy. Are you all excited? Yeah! Are you all wanting to get even more excited? Yeah! Are you all motivated? Yeah! All want to get more motivated? Yeah! Well, guess what? It's not going to happen. And I'm being very serious. This will not be a motivational conversation. This will not be an event that will get you excited. This will not be an event that will boost your confidence. You know why? Anybody wants to know why? Why? Because you all know why by now. How many of you attended motivational events before? Raise your hand. How many of you attended events where you get excited, you get pumped up, and then you walk out of the door, and a second later, like, what happened there? Or a day after, or a week after, and the life hits you, and you don't know what to do, and you feel even worse. The reason we're not going to have a motivational day today, the reason we're not going to have an event where I'll get you excited, I'll give you this boost of self-confidence, because it doesn't work. And this is a big secret. Deep inside, we all know about it, but nobody talks about it. It's like sugar. You take a spoon of sugar, it gives you the energy, it gives you the boost, you feel great, you feel excited, and then what happens? You crush. And not only you crush, it also damages your system. Same thing with these motivational and exciting events and all these things. Why? Because you go out into the real world, you're all pumped up, and then the real life situation comes, and you don't know what to do. And not only that, it's actually worse, because not only you don't know what to do, you now feel worse about yourself because you feel like you fail even more. Whatever your level of excitement, of confidence was before the event, now you feel like you should have performed even better, but it's not working out. Does that sound familiar? Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. You're all entrepreneurs. This is the city of entrepreneurs. I don't think I've ever been in a city, and I came from the city that never sleeps to a city that never sleeps. But I don't think I've been to a city or any city where anybody you talk to is entrepreneurial. Everyone. And you're all motivated. But let's ask a real question. What gives people real motivation and real excitement and real self-confidence? And the answer we all know. Rewards. When you do something, you could have higher calling, you could have obligations, you could have anything you want. But if anytime you try, it's not working out, that motivation, that confidence is going to go away. Do you agree with me? Yes or no? Yeah. Let's have a two-way conversation. That's how I love it. I don't care how big the arena is or how small it is. So, what really works, what gives you sustained motivation, sustained confidence, is when you do something and it works. How many of you did something business-wise? You attend all these events. I flew in a few days ago, and every 5 minutes there's some meeting between MLM organizations. And everybody meets each other, and everybody tries to sell to each other. This is crazy. Right? But you try it once, you try it twice, and it doesn't work, and you lose it. You get disappointed. Is that true or not? Yeah. Absolutely. Right? But if you try something, and it works, you don't need anybody to motivate you. This is automatic motivation. If you try something and you see results that benefit you and those you love, there's no better motivation. Do you agree, yes or no? Yes. Absolutely. So this is where I come in. I'm not here to get you excited. I'm not here to get you motivated, because this is sugar. It's going to get away as soon as you walk out of the door. Okay? What I'm here to give you is that reward system. And reward is very simple. I'll share with you the tools that benefited me tremendously my entire life, and tens of thousands of other people around the world. And when you use these approaches, different approaches, your life is not going to change, but I guarantee you'll remember these things. Very simple stuff that I'll share with you today. And when you apply them in your life, when you deal with people, when you deal with your customers, when you deal with people you love, and you see the results, that's what's going to give you excitement. This is what's going to give you the motivation. This is what's going to give you confidence. How does that sound? Does it sound good? So, I've been doing for about 20 years various types of events, okay? And I talk about comprehensive planning, I talk about legal stuff, asset protection, investments, tax retirement, estate planning, you name it. And you'll understand in a few moments why it doesn't matter. But what happened was, about, I don't know how many number of years ago, as I was doing events for students at one of the largest universities, a group of students came to me and said, Mr. Melnik, we need your advice. And I said, well, sure. I mean, I'm getting ready for the usual conversation. What do you want to do? What do you want? They said, no. We'd like to be like you. Can you talk about yourself and how you got there, and we research you and we see all these levels of success? How did you do it over and over again? I said, fine. So we met next day, small group, 10, 15 students. Then through social media, I got about 100, 150 requests, then 500, then more and more, then it grew, then the rest became history. So this is how Life Amplified events started. And I do them across the country in different parts of the world, from high school students, from college students, from business school students, from those who want to start a business, those who have business, want to be more successful, those who have jobs, want to succeed at jobs, who are about to retire, who are already retired, because at any level, there is simple ways to change your life and to amplify it. If you have the right approaches, that's the problem. That's the problem. Just like in business, if you have the right business model, or those of you into MLMs, if you have the right product, it's going to work. You just facilitate it, right? So the same thing here. And we work with various elected officials across the country who want to give value to educate communities, and so on and so forth. So over the years, I hear all the time, people come up to me before events or different occasions with problems. Steve, I feel bad, my life is not working out the way I want it to be. My children, my parents, and I'm an immigrant, and this is wrong, and I feel I don't have the language, I don't have the skills, I speak with an accent, I try to businesses, they don't work, and all these different problems, okay? And as people get older, also people start questioning, am I doing the right thing? Am I in the right place? Should I change something? You'll be up for a major surprise. So this conversation will be about where you want to get. There is no ultimate definition of success. I'm not talking about everybody has to be somewhere. Absolutely not. What I am talking about is where you are versus where you want to be. And if you don't get there, it's a failure to yourself. Do you agree with that? Absolutely. And the consequence of this conversation is how, therefore, if you use the right tools, which are going to be very different, you're up for, as I said, major surprise today. Simple stuff, make a major difference. Just like in the rest of the life. Minor turn of the wheel, minor turn. With time, you're going to go the other way. Right? Same thing. Minor effort, major result. So, once you apply these tools, what you'll also realize is that there's an opportunity to live the life you really want to live. And as you heard in the video, when I say really, I mean really. I don't mean like what you've been thinking about, what's on your notepad. I'm talking about if somebody just forced you to stop everything and say, dream, what do you really want to do? And whatever you say, no, dream harder. This is the life I'm talking about. okay? Because the problem with dreams, people stop dreaming. You know, when you limit yourself with your plans, of course, your goals will be limited, and whatever you try to accomplish will not get you to where you really want to be, and will not give you that personal satisfaction. Does that make sense? Yes. Absolutely. So, everyone has their own start. Everyone has their own start. Okay? Kent had his own start. Did many organizations before, helped other organizations. It took him a while to get to where he is. How about another round of applause for Kent's presentation? For someone who flew from Europe just to see us. Thank you, Kent. So, everyone has their own start. And I feel especially privileged to be here in this Asian Culture Day because we're talking about ethnic communities, okay? And this conversation is especially pertinent to ethnic communities because everyone will feel disadvantaged one way or another. But we'll have a big conversation today. And you realize how lucky you are on many, many levels. Many levels. So, this is me because everyone has their own start. And this is how I started. I'm an immigrant myself. Those of you who attended press conference the first day, I briefly said a few words, and I appreciate some people came up to me. There weren't too many people in the back, but they came up and said, we came back to hear more. And I'm thrilled about it, because that was limited, noisy engagement. But this is me when I just immigrated about 30 years ago. As you can see, nothing much changed. I still have my unibrow. That's still there. All right? So, basically, my story, I think a lot of you here could relate to it. I came from Ukraine, collapsing former Soviet Union. My entire life, we were wondering if there would be food next day. There were big lines, miserable life. I studied classical music. I was a professional classical guitar player, which was a big deal there. They would actually take only one person a year, about 100 people applying. It was more important, prestigious than all the lawyers, doctors in the world in this country. Okay? But what it gave me an escape from that miserable life. When I started playing, it's like ultimate meditation. I later fully recognized what it was doing to me and why I was so attracted to guitar. Because I would escape all that misery of that life. And I immigrated as a refugee here when I was about 18 years old with 2 suitcases, about $100, my mother, okay, and no English essentially. Few words, okay? My father passed away when I was very young. And before he passed away, just like it says there, he lived a very miserable life. I don't wish anyone to live this life. And the level of misery and suffering brought to my life from the moment I was born, we're not even going to get there. But we came here, and it was exciting, and I went to high school, and I was placed in one of the most dangerous neighborhoods in Brooklyn. I later realized why, but we'll talk about it later. People got shot there were metal detectors, crazy things. I had no clue what teachers were talking about because I didn't speak English. But guess what? All the teachers loved me and gave me passing grade because I was the only student who was not cursing at teachers, was not throwing anything at them, was not threatening to beat them up after school. So I was getting passing grade and I was thinking like, oh my God, I love this country. This is going to be great. And this is very true. So, my first job in this beautiful, wonderful country, I was cleaning bathrooms with my mom, who was crying while we were doing it, because she was looking at me, young man, you know, how degrading could this be, and she wished for a better life. And she was crying also because we left quickly from former Soviet Union. 18 is the age when they draft you into the army. It's a forced army service for 2 years. So we were running away before they could grab me. We left everything there, even my paperwork. I was actually studying guitar in conservatory there, but I had to go back to high school because I had no paper to prove it. But we felt lucky when we ran away from there. And my mom was waiting for 20 years to get a little hole apartment. Little hole, semi-basement. And she was crying because she couldn't take it with her, she couldn't sell it. So she was depressed, and therefore, you can imagine how I felt, okay? My second job was delivering furniture, and they did me a favor for the biggest orders for the buildings with no elevators, okay? I realized what that meant later, and I had, of course, no desire to touch guitar at that point, at all. And the world seemed like it was full of opportunities, but if you look at our situation, we had no advice, no skills, no knowledge, no money, and no clue. Okay? At least it seemed that way. So today we'll be discussing how to live the life you really want, personally and professionally. And I feel that in order for anyone to have a right to talk about success and give somebody advice, they have to succeed themselves. I just love, I don't know if you've noticed, I have full respect for every coach in the world, for every motivational speaker in the world. But I don't know if you've noticed their story. And this is the same story everybody starts with. I was very miserable, I failed, nothing was working out. Some got corporate jobs, but they hated it. And I was so down, and then I realized, I'm going to teach others how to be successful. Did you notice this? This is totally true if you look up, right? So, but anyway, with the right marketing and right approach, these things work, and then you make money, then you invest in businesses, and things go beautifully. But then you come out from these events, and a day later, like, what happened there again? Right? So, I don't want to treat you this way. But at the same time, for me to have the right to talk to you about it, I feel I have to share with you something that I've accomplished. Would you like to hear my fast forward story? Yeah. Now, I will talk about myself and what I've accomplished, but I want you to realize, and I hope you realize, that I have nothing to prove. I am not here to impress anybody. And the reason I'll share it with you, not only to show you the consistent track of success, but it's going to come very handy when we're going to come back to it later on. But please pay attention to different areas completely disconnected from each other. Over and over again, the level of success. You'll see what I mean, why it's very important to our conversation. So, to fast forward, by the way, anybody interested in my full bios, my name Steven Melnick, there is no C, I'm from Eastern Europe. Ken is from Western Europe, I'm from Eastern Europe, even though he's crawling into Eastern Europe more and more these days, from what I'm seeing. But it's StevenMelnick.org, no C at the end, okay? But here's a few things. So I graduated from college, business school, top of the class. When I was sitting in classes, I didn't speak like many of you or many of your kids. I had dictionary. I was translating every word the professor was saying because I had no clue. It's really, really true. I have students who are doing the same thing nowadays. Only at that time I felt horrible about it. In retrospect, I realized what a blessing that was, and we'll talk about it today. I got my doctorate degree, law degree, I got my postdoctorate degree. I don't know if you're noticing changes. My face is getting bigger and bigger. Can you see that? Now, I'll tell you why. Because I hated exams. And when you study and you get degrees, it's exam over exam. You guys know what I'm talking about? Of course. Of course. Immigrants are highly educated people. Non-immigrants also very educated. Those who went through it understand. So you know what I did in order not to be as miserable? I love food. And in law school and in postdoctorate, they allow you to bring food to the exam. And exams were like 3-4 hours. So I would actually not eat the things I love a week before exam. And I would bring all that food to my exam. And when an exam starts, I would eat 4 hours non-stop. And I loved the food. I hated exam. I loved the food. I hated exam. On the balance, it was okay. But this is what happened. I was getting bigger and bigger. Became CPA, a licensed attorney, got recognized by anyone and everyone. Scott is actually, at that time, he was Milton president. As many of you know, he's a controller, very good gentleman. I got into Wall Street, had a uniquely successful career for many reasons and many levels, with the world's largest audit and consulting firms, had private jet visiting clients, made the first $1 million shortly after college, developed a very successful real estate investment portfolio, one of the advisors to the Department of Treasury, helped them write laws, started and grew local and national businesses, became a tenured professor, director of undergraduate, graduate offerings in the largest business school in the country. I teach professional, seasoned attorney, financial planners, and CPA as the chairman of continuing education. member of National Personal Financial Planning Executive Committee. This is the entity that regulates CPAs, financial planners, all across the country, and I'm the only professional / academic who was invited. I feel honored being there and making my contribution to it. And of course, over the years I became a guide. I don't like coach because the coach to me is somebody who sets you up and then good luck, right? I'm always there with people through the tools. The tools are always there. You'll see what I mean. Okay? Became leading distinguished expert in many topics, asset protection, investments. We work with major financial institutions who use us to educate their clients and so on and so forth. And of course, develop self-help seminars. As an attorney, as a CPA and financial planner, I could talk about things that if you talk to your lawyer, they'll give you great advice, but there's going to be horrible consequences for tax purposes. You go to your tax person, they'll give you great advice, but from asset protection, it's like with doctors. They treat your liver, they damage your stomach, they fix your, you know this stuff. Anybody knows what I'm talking about? Absolutely. So this is what I do. This is not what we're going to do today, but nevertheless. So then I decided to write a book, and it became Amazon's #1 bestseller in multiple categories. And we'll talk about how I did that. You'll be very surprised. Okay, became radio television show host. I had my actual radio show for many, many years, weekly show in New York region. Published in most respected academic and professional journals. Speaker, helped thousands, tens of thousands. Was interviewed and regularly interviewed, including last week, and appeared in every major news network, NBC, CNBC, you name it, okay? Forbes, Times interviewed actually last week in Keynote. So, but what's life if it's all professional? I love life, and those who know me, I love to enjoy life, and we'll talk about this today as well. I travel all over the world, on average monthly, but when I say travel, I don't mean just business, no, to enjoy. Okay, I have 3 kids, I take them with me, whoever I could steal, all right? Enjoy homes and beautiful places in New York City by the ocean, and beautiful Miami and mountains and so on and so forth. Sailing the wildest, most craziest destinations. I just did a trip, sailing trip for 2 weeks in the wild islands of Fiji, which was very, very crazy and enjoyable. This is, by the way, I don't know if anyone's been there. Locals, there's no gas, no electricity. Okay, and you come there and they welcome you and they cook dinner for you. Do you know how they cook dinner? Anybody heard about Lobo dinner? They dig a pit in the sand on the beach, right? They burn wood, banana leaves, cover it up, the most delicious thing in the world. And you know what's even more amazing there? When you eat, they sit and watch. They brought dishes to the table, and we're sitting waiting. They said, no, no, you eat. What do you mean, you eat? No, you eat. The guests are eating, they're watching, and then after you finish, they start eating. And while you're eating, nobody will leave you alone. And if they have to leave, they have to get somebody else to be with you. What a hospitality. We're looking at them, a third world country. Are you kidding me? There's so much to learn. Anyway, enjoying nice things in life. And started playing guitar too, needless to say. Right? Hi, I'm so glad to see you. So in any case, this is not playing, this is really playing. I have my band, we enjoy some beautiful nights in New York City and other places. But you know, there's professional success, there is personal pleasure, but the ultimate pleasure, as I think many of you realize, and joy is when you help others. So I started many, many different projects and organizations and helping out communities. I run major National Bar Association, we volunteer through other organizations. When Sandy happened, and many, many other terrible things. We've been recognized by various political organizations, anyone from federal to state officials, assemblymen, presidents of various municipalities. The United Nations recognized, which is really sweet. And of course, those of you who know Mayor of New York City, Mr. de Blasio, and that's my daughter in the middle, who just finished high school, and she's running a major international nonprofit where they create leaders. And there are chapters in almost every country at this point, tens of thousands of kids. Crazy what kids could do these days. All right? I started many nonprofits and support many others, and we did a lot of trips. I did a trip with my friend doctor who brought medicine to places that have never seen medicine before. Okay, we brought glasses, boxes of glasses, different sizes. Okay, because there's none of that in many places that we take for granted. And of course, my mom, who's been crying when we came, she's on your right, and her sister's on your left. enjoying life, traveling all over the world, has, of course, I made up a little hole that she had back in Ukraine with place also in New York and Miami. This is actually her trip to the Middle East. She was scared to go, so I got her this little bodyguard. This is not me, by the way, in case some of you were wondering. And, of course, my family. I thank God every day. I have a beautiful, wonderful wife and 3 amazing kids. So the question ultimately becomes, and this is what I started with, so how do you, with this starting point, okay, and if you notice, so many things at so many levels, how does it happen? There must be something there. So basically, at the end of the day, I think we all will agree, we all want the same thing. Right or wrong? We want to be happy, we want to be healthy, but let's be honest and look around what's going on. And statistics are crazy. 2 out of 3 Americans say they're unhappy. More than half marriages fail. Over 80% of businesses fail within 18 months. 18 months. 80% businesses. You guys entrepreneurs, this is pay attention. You learn major things today. You understand why it happens and what you can do to prevent it. That's 80% within 18 months. 5 years, 95% of businesses out. 85% of employees admit they're unsatisfied. This is to put it lightly. The truth, depressed. And the people that you're looking up to, you think, oh, they're doing great. If you really sit them down and talk to them, you'll understand there's misery. Okay? I'm sorry to say, and just like it says, but statistically speaking, those of you who are present here today, chances are most of us will get into that situation. Okay? Because that's what science says. But there is good news. The good news is it doesn't have to be happy. It doesn't have to happen. Okay? And I shared my story for a good reason. For very good reason. And it's not to get anybody depressed or more depressed. It's number one, to show you what's possible, number one, because many people don't even think. Very limited. I meet people, what do you want to do? Well, I want to do this. Well, if you do that, will that really make you happy? Not really. So why are you even going after this? Right? People just limiting themselves to begin with. And the second reason I wanted to share, I wanted to show you with the right tools. Not excitement, not sugar boost of confidence, not motivational speech. That will not get you anywhere, I'm sorry to say. But with the right approaches, different approach, what you can accomplish. And I'll share with you some of these approaches today. So, as I said, if you notice, some of the things that I've shown you that I accomplished, in reality, let's be honest, it takes many lifetimes for people to accomplish. They are completely unconnected to each other. Academia, business, law, finance, Wall Street, radio, television, writing books, nonprofit, leadership, family, kids, and fun. And all on a certain level. So, to achieve so much, and so fast, in completely different, unrelated areas, consistently, time after time, in different areas, how is it possible, given my starting point? Now, some of you may sit and think, well, this guy's probably smart, right? Or hardworking, right? Well, let's think about it. How many people that you know that are smart and hardworking? A lot. I've met in this city for the past 2 days. Huge amount of very smart and very hardworking people. Is that enough to succeed? No. Absolutely not, unfortunately. So it's not about being smart, and it's not about being hardworking, okay? Now, some of you may say, well, maybe it's luck. Really? Over and over again, and things that have nothing to do with each other? Completely unrelated? Unlikely. Definitely not, against all the odds in the world. Okay? Only I could achieve it? You should talk to my students over 20 years. I'm not even talking about my kids and other people and my friends who know me, and my partners. So, I wouldn't be standing in front of you today, okay, because my own intelligence is not different from yours. And that's the truth. I just got lucky with a miserable life that I had, and it forced me to look, and it forced me to look around to see, is there any better way, from a very, very young age. Okay? And I know all of you would like to find out the better way that I found. Would you like to hear that? Yes. Okay, I can't hear. Would you like to hear that? Yes. All right, awesome, thank you. Because we all would like to change the future. So usually I hear ask the question, how much are you willing to pay to learn how to change? Now, the truth is, you're not going to have to pay anything else at all. It's free. But think about it. What is it worth to you to acquire an approach that is different the way you've been doing things over and over again? I don't know if you've noticed. People are doing the same things over and over again, right? And they're surprised why they're where they are. All right? So, this is going to be for free. The only thing I ask, and you've been great, I just want participation. So if I ask a question, you can answer. Sounds good?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So what does everyone tell us our entire life? Hey, use common sense, right? Follow your gut, right? You want to succeed? Use your brain, use common sense. Well, interesting thing. Very, very early in my life, and this is not something you've heard anywhere before. I know this. I'm on top of the game. Okay? So I suggest you listen up. Very, very early in my life, I noticed a very interesting pattern. And the pattern is that those who actually live the life that you would like to live, very few, 1, 2 out of 100 people, right? 1 or 2%. They actually don't do what everybody else does. In fact, whatever they do, you look at it like, that doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. In fact, I'll tell you something else right now, and this is the big punchline, which is going to be very difficult to swallow for some people. But what I've realized very early in my life, that whatever our common sense tells us to do, and this is what I talk about all over the world and the country, and this is what brings tremendous results to people, common sense is actually our biggest enemy. I know it's tough to swallow, I know it's a shocker, but you'll understand why. Scientific reason, and then all of a sudden, it will make sense to you on a different level. But whatever our brain goes, whatever the situation is, whatever our common sense tells us, this is the road to failure. And when I say failure again, failing yourself from getting where you want to be. Okay? It's the ultimate barrier that stands between you and the life you really want. Okay? So, many of you, and some of you here, okay, and it happens all the time. People call me. I used to see clients one-on-one. I don't do that anymore. I'm just telling you this right now. Okay? But people come for advice. Or those that we do business with come for advice. And I give advice, and somehow things work. And people are wondering, why time after time things are working? Well, there is formula there. There's pattern there. Okay? So would you like to know the secret approach? Yes or no?
Yes. Yeah.
All right. Here it is. You guys familiar? I'm not kidding. It is CIA. Some of you seem like, I knew there was something with this guy. Intelligence is definitely involved. This guy's like, I don't want to deal with CIA. I'm walking away. That's it. I've had enough of this. I don't need this. The further, the better. No government involvement. So intelligence is involved, but it's a different type of intelligence, ladies and gentlemen. The system that I've developed is called counterintuitive intelligence amplifiers. It's a system of practical tools that helps you decide what counterintuitive actions to take to achieve the desired result. Since intuition gets us, listen, you understand, look where everyone is. Everybody follows their common sense. Everyone follows their intuition. Look at statistics, we just discussed it. People are miserable, depressed, unsatisfied. Intuition doesn't work. You don't have to take my word for it. Look around. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Of course, it's a different conversation, I get it. But listen, isn't it time for a different type of conversation? What do you think? Yes. Absolutely. So, I developed a system that amplifies, helps you make counterintuitive decisions. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So, this system, CIA Life System as I call it, is comprised of individual life amplifiers. And these are the tools, the approaches, the amplifiers that help you when you come out from these exciting events and you're dealing with a situation. They'll help you make a decision what to do and how to do and what decision to make and how to deal with it. This is what I call amplifiers, okay? Now, obviously, I cannot teach you the entire system today. There's no way, and we have limited time. But I'll give you, I want to give you, not just a flavor, but some real tools. So you'll work out with it, and you'll be amazed if you apply them, and I know you will, okay? Just like thousands and thousands others already did. Now, just a quick background. Each amplifier, before I tell you about it, it's simple on its face, but it's very deep. Okay? So, like anything else, to master it requires additional conversation, but you'll get enough to appreciate and to benefit from it immediately. And also, just like with other things, you know, when I go for my kickboxing practice, you know, they teach you to kick with your hands, with your feet. Same thing here. In many situations, in fact, in most situations, you use not one, but you use 2 amplifiers or 3 amplifiers at the same time to get to the ultimate result. My suggestion, I know some of you, I see people taking notes, science shows that when you write things down, you actually retain 30% more information, okay? Even without any extra effort. This is going to be valuable stuff, so I suggest to write it down, because quite often, the reason I started recommending it, because people would come back and say, I wish I wrote it down, I wish I wrote it down. So now it's not late. Now, before we go to the first one, how about just do a little stretch? Why don't everyone just get up for a second? Just get up for a second, okay? Another science shows that when you move, the blood goes to the brain. Just stretch a little bit, and oxygen goes to the brain, and you start thinking a little bit better, okay? And why don't you, not person to the left or the right, but person behind you and in front, why don't you shake their hands and introduce yourself? Tell them what you do. You take a moment. Beautiful. Beautiful. Okay, let's sit down. So now you have a reason to follow up with all these people that you just met. And there are some very amazing people that actually had a pleasure of meeting these past few days. So, first amplifier. You guys ready? Yes or no? Yes. All right. I call it Emergent Goals CIA Life Amplifier. Very powerful stuff for business, for relationships. Very powerful. Okay? Very powerful. People are running up and getting closer. Beautiful. Beautiful. So, when I came to this country, okay, I had no language, no money, needed a job. Now, what does common sense tell us to do? Well, you got to go to classes to learn language, right? Right? You got to get some job to make some money, right? Then you work that job, and you get the next job to make more money, right? All this takes time. You've noticed how quickly things progress with me. Why? Well, I'll give you one example why. Emergent Goals Amplifier that I use. So with Emergent Goals, here's what you do. You guys, many of you have many businesses that you're involved with, or many needs, or many organizations, or many desires, and you just, you know, your mind tells you, okay, I gotta go after this, now I gotta do this, now I gotta do this. I know all of you guys, because we all have the same brain. In fact, we all have one brain. That's a separate conversation altogether. What you do, number one, you write down your goals. And it's important to write them down, because magic happens, it goes into your subconscious. You just write them down. It's science, okay? So first I wrote down, I want to learn the language. Second, I want to make money. Third, I needed to learn American culture. Okay, later on I wanted to learn about Wall Street and meet successful executives, but I just wrote it down. Instead of just running everywhere, I wrote everything down. And you look at that, and you don't make decisions immediately, because I don't know if you know, more than 90% of your decisions are made by your subconsciousness. Did you know this? It's crazy. This is science. It's beyond conversation at this point. So you sit and let it sit in the background, okay? You sleep on it, you come back to it, and you look at it, and you say, how can I satisfy all of these needs in one shot? So I don't waste years. I don't waste time, I don't waste energy. Life is way too short. Right? Way too short. So I looked at that, and instead of doing all these wants one at a time, I came up with just one. I do one thing that gets me all of it. I became a bartender.
Good money.
First of all, I was forced to talk to people in order to make money, right or wrong?
Right.
Yeah. Second, good money. Third, I'm learning the culture. Right? Absolutely. Fourth, I get the right people drunk, I'll learn things I would never learn in the world. Ultimately, I got to Wall Street area, and there are some executives, right? And after a while, I realized how Wall Street really works. Okay? I was so ahead. One shot. Do you see what I'm saying? It's an approach. Now, this same approach, merging once, my graduate business school kids, okay, students, CEOs, executives from major corporations, this is what they're paying a lot of money for, to learn and listen. It's huge stuff. You apply it to your life, you'll be amazed. You know, you'll get done so much more within limited time. You'll be blown away. And that's what's going to give you excitement. You're like, oh my God, did I just do that? That's what's going to give you excitement that will stick around. And confidence and motivation. Should I continue?
Yes.
So my bartending days were fun. The way I started, I immigrated to Brooklyn first, as I said, from Ukraine, but we went through Italy. This was our immigration stop, and I spent a few weeks there. So when I came to New York, I actually knew more words in Italian, probably like 10 to 12, than in English. So what do you do when you look for a job? And especially, I decided to be a bartender, the waiter. You go to Italian neighborhood, Bensonhurst in Brooklyn. Anybody familiar with Bensonhurst in Brooklyn? And I'm looking for Italian restaurant because at least I could say hello. And my buddy was with me, Gregory. And he spent literally half a year, and he told me he knows Italian inside out. So I took him with me, and we walk into one restaurant, and Gregory comes to the owner and says, "Hey, come va?" And the owner thinks, you know, we're Italians or whatever. And he starts talking Italian. I'm looking at my friend Gregory, and my Gregory like, he didn't understand anything. All right, this is when I realized I'm not going to try to impress. So guess what? I got the job at that restaurant. It's called Caffè Villa Luce. I'll never ever forget it. But the most amazing thing is the people there, just like in some places in Chinatown, Koreatown, guess what? They didn't speak English. Beautiful Italian restaurant. They were all Italian immigrants. So guess what happened to me? They taught me Italian, and I learned Italian before I learned English when I came to this country. Okay? And after they taught me Italian, they started teaching me English, but with Italian accent. So there was a Ukrainian kid walking around, speaking English with Italian accent. And I was walking around, hey, what are you talking about? I thought everybody talks this way. I thought that's how it is. Okay? And not only I spoke Italian, the people there were from Bari, so I was with Baresi accent. So when I would talk in Italian, people would come in and say, oh, Baresi. It was crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Okay? So that's merging goals amplified. When you list your wants, you list your goals, and you don't run after one just the way our mind takes us constantly, like a chicken without a head. Okay? But you look, you analyze, like, what can I do one that will hit all of them? And I use this every day, every business that I run, every organization, personal, family, and you save so much time, so much effort. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, beautiful. Here's another one. You're gonna love this one. Getting liked CIA Live Amplifier. Now, I hope you all realize I'm driving cameramen mad because usually speakers don't move around, but I hate standing in the same place. So please forgive me. So, usually by the end of my talks, cameramen come to me like this was a workout. So, I hope you realize, in order to get something done, we need to deal with people. Make sense?
Yes.
And in order to deal with people, we need their help. Make sense?
Yes.
And in order to get their help, they have to at least somehow like you. Does that make sense? Absolutely. How do we get intuitively? I have a lot of political leaders, and people who run for the offices, all across the country coming to me. We do a lot of events. But one of the things we always talk about, these counterintuitive approaches, how to appeal to the public. And I want to tell you something. Intuitively, what do we do to get somebody to like us? You ask them questions because they love to talk about themselves. Very true.
Give them money.
What else? You give them money. That's called bribing. But that's true. You're right. We help them. What else do we do intuitively? We try to show how great we are. Right?
Two down.
Buy them dinner.
Buy them dinner. Well, would you like to know a simpler and much more powerful way to get people to like you? Yes or no?
Yes.
This is priceless stuff. Kevin should be charging extra for it. I don't know where he is. So, question, whom do we like? Before we start talking about any conversation, we have to step back and say, well, if we want somebody to like us, right? You always have to think, well, whom do I like? Because you got to get yourself in somebody else's situation. And ladies and gentlemen, there's really two types of people that we like. I don't know whether you realize it, whether you understand it, whether you agree with it, whether you don't, it doesn't matter. I'm telling you it is. Two types. Number one is people who are like us. That's right, right? Similar to us. I love this audience. I love people who are so engaged. This is beautiful, and I appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, and I will not fail you, and I think you already see this already. Okay? But we like people who are like us, number one. And second type, people whom we want to be like. Is that true or not? True. That's it. So now if we reflect on this, people who are like us, what does that mean? Well, people who are maybe live in similar neighborhood, people who have similar interests, right? But it goes much deeper. It's much deeper, and it goes to complete subconsciousness. That's why counterintuitive comes in, and I'll share it with you. In fact, Milton Erickson, when I started digging into it and researching it, a long time ago, okay, he finished in 1980, very famous American psychologist, he does hypnosis, family therapy. What he figured out is that we like people who are like us, but it breaks down so low and deep that people who speak like us, who look like us, who speak in the same tone, same volume, same posture when we sit in the restaurant, okay? It's crazy. That's right, we come to each other and there's already bond, right? So it's crazy. People don't realize it. So when you sit with somebody, instead of going through all this crazy and spending a lot of money bribing them, you behave like them. And I'll tell you, what I've noticed very early, about 30 years ago, when I was working at Italian restaurants, sometimes I would pretend to be Italian. If these were people from Eastern Europe, so they don't realize that I understand what they're talking about. And of course, girls came, would talk about me, and it was so pleasant, I'll pretend I don't realize that, oh, this is your cutie. It was a beautiful conversation. And then Italians would come, and I would pretend I would be Ukrainian, so I don't speak Italian, and I would understand what they're talking about me, which was great. But here's what I realized very quickly. I get a Wall Street guy at the table. They have no patience, no time. They look at the menu. They call me because I was second late. Look, I don't know what to order, but let's order this one. And how's your salad? Is it good enough? I want grilled chicken. I want this. And what do you else? And I respond, I agree. You should get this. And I recommend you also get this and get this and get this. They're like, I don't understand this guy. I don't know what he's talking about. I like him. They don't understand what's going on. And then I get an artist. Oh, I love your menu. It's so difficult to decide. Tiramisu looks fantastic. But cannoli, And you come to and say, I know. This is very tough. But since you have to do something, how about we start with tiramisu and then we'll see where it takes us. And they're like, I love this guy. And I'll tell you, in conversation, you sit with people, and they sit like this, you sit like this. They talk like this, you talk like this. They start eating, you start eating. They stretch, you stretch. After a while, you stretch, they stretch. You don't understand. It's completely subconscious. Now, it has nothing to do with disrespecting somebody. It has nothing to do, this is a tool. When appropriate, it's like any other toolbox you have, or any other weapon you have. When it's appropriate, You're not disrespecting anybody. You could do it very respectfully to the right person, the right circumstances, but it's beyond powerful tool. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes.
Do you see it benefiting you? You have no idea how faster. And this conversation, in case you didn't realize it, I want to make it very clear. The only thing I talk about, I don't talk about excitement, I don't talk about motivation, I don't talk about confidence. You got that. But let me tell you what I am talking about. I'm only talking about getting there faster, easier, and higher. Do you see that happening with these tools?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay? So, this is the Getting Life amplifier. Okay? Now, my first years in the United States, they were crazy. I worked till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. Okay? All the time waitering on my feet, learning Italian, then learning English. You know, customers would tell me, get me portacento in Italian. I would run to the bar, he said, what's portacento? He said, it's estre. What's estre? They would have to show me. That's how I was learning. Okay? I would get home, I would have to walk from the place I worked home for about 45 minutes at 3 o'clock in the morning. I was so wiped out, my feet were killing me. I would have to lay in the bath because I couldn't fall asleep. Okay, but I was full of excitement because I saw what was happening. And of course, 6 o'clock I would have to get out to get to that crazy school in the crazy neighborhood. Okay? Just absolutely wild. By the way, later on I realized why I was placed in that school because my uncles lived in that neighborhood. And they just sent me in that school. Turned out, after a short class, after I started going there, I realized why. Each one of them had a daughter, and apparently some boys would bully them. So my second day in school, those girls came to me and said, Steve, can you please talk to those boys? And of course, there were a bunch of other immigrants like me and would come to these guys and say, hey, we're a Russian mafia, we'll kill you. And that was the end of the bullying. So my girls were walking around like princesses in school. In any case, and this is where I started making a little money, thank you very much. And I wanted to do something nice for my mother. This is the craziest story ever. There were no computers that I had at that time to research. So I saw flyers of these resorts in Pennsylvania, Poconos. Anybody heard about them? So, this is going to be the craziest story you will ever hear. I'm taking my mother to this trip to Pennsylvania through Route 80. And they told me to take exit, I believe, 54. And it's supposed to be a 2.5-hour ride. We get in the car, my mother's so excited, I'm so excited. They told me, you're going to see trees, you're going to see a river, you're going to see a lake. I'm like, yes, it's going to be great. And my mom will finally see something beautiful. Fantastic. We get in the car, we're waiting to drive for 2.5 hours. 35 minutes later, I see exit 54. I'm like, wow, that was so fast. Time flies when you're having fun. We get off, I don't see trees, I don't see a river, I don't see a lake. I see garbage dump. I see broken cars. I don't understand. So I'm calling them, I said, wait a second. You told me river, you told me lakes, you told me green trees. I see dumpster. Are you on exit 54? Yes. Are you on exit 54 off E80? Yes. Don't you see the tree? No. We went in circle for 30 minutes. Of course, with my broken English at that time. After a while, they tell me, well, how long did you drive? I said, 35 minutes. Oh! Of course it makes sense you're in the dumpster. You're in New Jersey. It turns out you have to drive further on the Route 80. You cross the border with Pennsylvania, and that's when you get to that beautiful place. It gets better. We get there, beautiful place. And I see all these happy couples there. Nice. And I'm with my mom, and we go, and there's a dinner, and everybody's there's candlelight dinner. I'm like, so nice, I'm introducing to everybody, this is my mom. And then they turn on the music, there's live band, these romantic songs, you know, whatever. I don't get yet what's going on. And I'm dancing with my mother, and they have all these games, and for some reason all the games are couples games. I'm like, I'm still not getting it. And they're taking pictures, and everything's beautiful, and then, you know, because we arrived late because of it, we went straight to dinner and music, then we got to our room, I turned on the light, red carpet, mirror ceilings, heart-shaped top. I brought my mother to couples resort. And I only then realized how people were looking at us. And me introducing everybody, this is my mom. Crazy true story. So, it was really, really crazy. And I would finish work very, very late. And I would get home. But before getting home, something interesting started happening. at about 2 o'clock in the morning. Can we get some audio? Do we have audio engineers somewhere? No? Thank you. Let's just make it a little bit lower. Thank you. So what would happen at about 2 o'clock in the morning, the place that where I was working had these live bands, Italian bands. And this song would go out. Can you make it a little bit louder? Just a little bit louder. And I would hear the song, and I would just freeze. 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm totally wiped out. And everything stops. It's madness. It was a huge place, billion of people. And, you know, I used to do music. I used to play music. And this song, besides melody, there are words there, Lights of America. And I would stand by the wall, just like this, and I don't care how many clients there would be waiting for my service. I would just watch them, and it was crazy. I'll never forget it. I would want to cry on one side because it's just such a joy of the opportunities, of all the possibilities that are so. And at the same time, it was so hard and difficult because we were still coming through that whole time. You know, and I'm like completely wiped out. But those words, Lights of America. And I was ready to work 50 hours a day. Crazy. I will never ever forget those evenings. And this song would always be in my mind as I get home and get in my tub. But as I was in my tub, I realized something huge that drastically not only changed my life further, but amplified, and this is what got me at the major road, and I will share with you this amplifier right now. As I was laying in bath, something interesting I was thinking about. I'm getting choked up as I hear this song right now, to be perfectly honest with you. This is crazy. Because everything is as if it just happened. When we just immigrated, I was around people in our neighborhood who also just immigrated, and the opportunities were clean bathrooms, help somebody deliver something, and the conversations were about the same thing. Where did we get, what did we do, right? Then I got this job at an Italian restaurant, and all of a sudden, these people whom I was dealing with, now I was being offered help out in some office, some law office, some accounting office. There are people doing some businesses that wanted to do, to use me in that. And the owners had 2 beautiful daughters, and that role was very open to me because the owners loved me and they wanted me to engage in some type of relationship with them. And I was laying and said, wait a second. This is crazy. All you need to do is just to change where you are, to get where you into different environment. All of a sudden, completely brand new opportunities open up to you. Do you see what I'm saying? This is very counterintuitive. Why? Because normally our brain says, I want this, and you go after what you want. Now, if what you want is not available, let's say people start businesses, right? And you want to sell major, make a major sale to a major buyer. If you don't have a major buyer, what are you going to do? You're going to look for small ones, right? Or when I was graduating college, for example, I was looking for a job in accounting, and all big accounting firms were done. They were recruited. Only small ones. So what did my friends do? They went to small ones and got those jobs. Or what do many of you do? Well, instead of me going after those big ones, I'll just go small client, let me just make something, right? I didn't do that. What did I do? This brings me to the next amplifier that I'll share with you. Is this interesting? Should I continue?
Yeah.
I can't hear it. Should I continue?
Yeah.
All right, so this is called closeness live amplifier. And this is what I was telling you. Where is often much more important than what. Instead of going after small what you want, you go where big thing is. Because being where you want to be that has it will get you what you really want. Does it make sense? So the example I started giving you, instead of applying for this job, small job in accounting, I didn't do that. I wanted to be in the largest firm in the world, Wall Street firm in the world. Okay, but they didn't have any accounting jobs. But you know what job they had? In the basement, a World Financial Center, this major firm was recycling computers. And all I had to do was just press delete button before the data deleted so they could donate it. Nobody applied to that job. I was dying to get that job. In fact, when I went to interview, the interviewer was like, what's wrong with this kid? He's so excited about this job. I knew what I was doing. I wanted to be in the largest firm in the world. I wanted to be near people who are there. I knew once you're there, new opportunities come. Same thing with businesses. And my partners see this all the time. But our intuition doesn't tell us. And listen what happened. I was sitting in the basement, clicking this delete button over and over again, very passionately, very excitedly. And the guy from accounting office upstairs comes and says, you process so many computers, we don't have enough to do data entry now. Okay? So why don't you come up, help us do data entry. I went upstairs, 2 weeks later. Oh my God, you did all this data entry. The controllers group needs to process these reports. Can you help us out? Sure. 3 weeks later, I got a full-time job offer. Controllers group. I rejected it. Because at that time, I realized it could go much faster. I had a manager, his name was Steve. He also had a unibrow, but he decided to shave it. It annoyed the hell out of me. Okay, we'll come back to Steve later. But instead, because they wanted me to work, Kent, I wish you well. Instead of that, they wanted me to work full-time, and I wanted to finish college faster. Okay? I wanted to finish faster. So I rejected the job, but you'll see what happened later. By the way, when I was in Mila Luce, when I was in a restaurant, these guys would come dressed all in gold, beautiful looking, the guy Johnny, you know? And I looked at him, he looked so good, he had a beautiful Jaguar, and he was my dream person. And there was the other guy, Giuseppe, who was expert in girls, and he showed me and taught me how to deal with American girls, which was very interesting. But interesting thing happened. As I was working in this largest firm, financial firm, and I was working in the office, and my air conditioning system broke down, and they told me, call systems guys. And I call systems guys, and the door opens up, guess who walks in? Johnny. But not in gold, not dressed up, blue shirt, blue pants. He looked at me, his jaw dropped. Because 4 months ago, he was giving me $1 at the restaurant as a tip and telling me what to do. Now he came in and asked me, after a while, after he processed everything, what can he do to help? And asked me to call his boss and give him good recommendations. When you do this, you fly so quickly, so fast, and it's so easy. It actually, if you think about it, takes much less effort, much less work. So anyway, and after I finished college and I got the job in the world's largest financial firm, and the experience was so valuable that after 2 years I was given an offer to be a manager at Steve, my former manager, who shaved his unibrow. Okay? The story is not about the unibrow. It's about how quickly you could grow above and beyond what normal people do. So this is closeness amplifier. And I use this throughout my life. Law school, very quickly. I was working full-time. I had no time to prepare for LSAT. My LSAT was horrible. Okay? But I wanted to go to law school. So what did I do? I didn't know what I was doing, but I knew closeness principle. I had to go where it is where I want. So I went to law school at night. And I started knocking the doors. Nobody was there. Until one door opened. This older gentleman opened the door. I said, I don't know what's going on, but I want to be here. I promise if you guys take me, I'll be the best student. He goes, I'm sorry, I don't have time to talk. I'm about to teach. You want to come with me to a class? Sure. I came to a class. He was talking about, it was business law. And he was asking basic, simple questions about relationship, transactions. And some simple question, I just gave an answer. He loved it. He wrote me a recommendation. I got into law school. Later, he wrote me a recommendation for postgraduate degree. Then he wrote me a recommendation to become a professor. He's still there. God bless him. Closeness amplifier is so powerful. It's so powerful. I've met so many people today saying, I want to do this, I want to do this. What do you do about it? Well, I'm waiting for the opportunity. Not only that is wrong, not only taking small opportunities wrong, because it's a waste of your time. Life is so short. Don't waste yourself on small things, even if they are along the ways of what you want. Don't waste your time. Does that make sense? Go after what you really want. And if you cannot, go where it is. Because it's going to get to you. You're going to get it. Does that make sense? I'll give you another one very, very quickly. Doorway to success amplifier. I want to tell you something. Most people fail. And when I say fail, again, I want to be clear about it. It's fail themselves. They don't get to where they want to be. Because their starting point is too far from success. They don't realize that they could start pursuing their success much closer to the success point themselves. What do I mean? Very simple example. My bestseller. My very, very first book became a bestseller. Okay, intuitively, how do people write books? Oh, I have an idea. I'm going to write a book because I know what I'm talking about. People are going to love it. I'll talk about everything, what I know, right? Did you know that 99% of the books never sell past 5 copies? The truth is, nobody cares what you want to say and what you want to write. People care about what they need. So guess what I did? This doorway to success amplifier, one of the core principles, start at the end. You guys, I just want you to realize, you're getting a real treat here. Okay? Usually these events cost a lot of money. This is a major, major day, and I'm very happy to be part as an immigrant myself to support it. And I'm happy you guys are here in this small group, and it makes me very happy. Okay? And I will look for your feedback. Alright? But this is good stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff. Last event in New York City was completely sold out. Okay? So this hugely important amplifier tells you to start at the end. When I started writing a book, there was no ego involved. I just wanted to do well, and I wanted to give people what they want. So you know what I did? Very simple. I started looking, what do people Google in the area that I know something about? And I wrote a book around it, and I gave them exactly what they were looking for. Done! Done. Brilliance? You start at the end always. Because one of the biggest problems is, once people start doing something, they want to get somewhere, they get there like, that's not what I wanted. How many times it happened to you that you want to accomplish something, you accomplish, you're like, that's not what I wanted. Right? It happens all the time. It happens for many reasons. We'll briefly chat about it. So, same thing with dating. People meet these days mostly on the internet, right? How do you try to impress? How do you try to make things work? Well, I talk about myself, how great I am. I love to cook, and I love romantic dinners, right? Start at the end. Doorway to success. Start at the end. What do people want? Look at the dating site description. If they want to travel and not stay home, it ain't gonna connect. Does that make sense? Same thing with business, same thing with clients. People always in their heads, from their perspective, no, start at the end. Our brain always says, okay, this is what I gotta do, this is what I gotta do, this is what I gotta sell. No. Doorway to success. Again, I'm sharing with you this amplifier. This is a much deeper conversation. It's a weekend conversation, but I'm giving you, I know you understand the core principles here. Okay? Because they're applicable everywhere. The biggest business, Zappos company sells shoes. You know how they started selling shoes? They took pictures of shoes on the stands, and they just posted them. And only after people started ordering, then they started buying shoes. Why do you think statistics that will look 80% of businesses fail? Why? Because people in their heads, we're going to sell. I have an idea. Right? How does it work? I have an idea. Who cares about your idea? It's not about your idea. It's about the idea people, consumers have in their heads what they want. And you start. It's very counterintuitive. How can you start selling without having it? That's right. Counterintuitive approach. You sell, you test the market, then you stop, and then you can get into business. Does that make sense? Now, the interesting thing is, of course it makes sense. And you can say, well, that makes sense. Well, it makes sense after your brain is kind of turned upside down and pointed that direction. The trick is to get your brain to go there in different situations. And this is where these amplifiers help you, because they're always with you, they're always guiding you. It's like life GPS. It always tells you which turn to take. Okay? So this is huge. All right? And this is for everything. Everything. Personal, professional, so on and so forth. So, this is valuable. One of the things to get more information. And by the way, let's just stretch a little bit. Let's get up, everybody. Just a little stretch, little stretch. Those of you who would like to get more information, stevenmelnick.org, you could just we're not done yet. But what I suggest you guys do, because you will forget, because your brain will forget, you could go to stevenmelnick.org now. There's a lot of great videos and information. But don't read anything. There's a button that says, get more information. Just click on it, put your name, email, and we'll get you more information. Okay, you can do it at any point. All right, but don't forget. Anyway, let's just raise our hands a little bit. Let's just let me turn around. Okay, give high five to people around you very quickly. High five, at least to 3 people. All right. So, all right, let's sit down. Now, I want to say a few more things. And this is very true about ethnic communities, okay? A lot of people, and my students, for example, in university where I teach, vast majority are Asian, okay? And they come to me and they say, oh, Professor Melnick, I don't speak well, I have an accent, I don't know this culture, I will never succeed. These self-killing thoughts. I want you to know that whatever it is, whatever problems you have in your life, listen up. Listen up. This is priceless. Whatever problems that you have in your life, these are your biggest blessings. Why? How else, just think about it, how else do you learn? How else do you grow if not from the problem? If everything goes beautiful, you have nothing to learn. But the question is, how do you learn from a problem? How do you learn from a mistake? Okay? Because common sense, when problem happens, what do? We get into defensive mode. Oh my God, we get miserable. No. It's the biggest blessing when some problem happens in my office, right? Everybody in my firm is, yes. Why yes? It's a gift. There's something that we didn't know. There's something we weren't prepared for. We got this gift. Let's figure it out. Let's understand, and let's make sure it never happens again. What happens normally? People suffer, and then they walk around, so it doesn't hit again. Of course it's going to hit again. You'll never learn. So the question is, we got to learn. This is the biggest blessing, but unless you learn how to benefit from it, you'll never benefit. This is why people constantly step on the shovel, and each time they hope the shovel is going to miss, but it always hits you right in the face, no?